Sven's study is warm. Firelight catches the timber walls. There is no hum of machines, no chemical smell, no damp patches creeping up the corners. Outside, it is February in Sweden, 6 months of dark, wet winter still ahead. And yet the air inside is clean, dry, and completely still. How does the average Swedish home stay mold-free through 6 months of dark, wet winter while your dehumidifier runs 24/7 and the patches keep coming back? That question has one answer, and it will change how you think about your home permanently. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The sealed home industry, the chemical sprays, the electric appliances, none of them fix the problem. They treat the symptom. Every single time, Nordic homes do something different. They work with moisture, not against it. Breathable materials, daily ritual, passive airflow, no machines, no chemicals, under $50 total, 7 specific methods, starting right now. The physics nobody taught you. Cold outside, warm inside. That temperature difference is not just uncomfortable, it is the engine of your mold problem. When warm, humid, indoor air meets a cold wall or window, it cools instantly. And cooled air cannot hold as much moisture as warm air. So it deposits that moisture on whatever surface it touches first. Corners, windowsills, the wall behind your wardrobe. This is not bad luck. It is basic physics, and it has been happening in your home every single winter. Modern construction made it worse. Sealed insulation, vapor barriers, double-glazed units that never crack open, these were sold as progress. And in some ways they were. But they created a new problem nobody advertised. Humid indoor air now has nowhere to go. The home suffocates. Moisture builds, sits, accumulates. And mold finds exactly what it needs. Mold needs 3 things: moisture above 60% relative humidity, still, undisturbed air, and an organic surface to colonize: timber, plaster, cotton, paper. Remove just one of those 3 conditions, and mold cannot survive. It does not retreat. It dies. That is the lever. That is everything. Nordic timber homes have always addressed all 3, not through technology, but through material choice and daily habit. Untreated wood breathes. It absorbs excess moisture when the air is humid and releases it when the air dries. Air moves through the home in regular, deliberate cycles, and humidity stays consistently below 50%, the threshold where mold simply cannot gain a foothold. The Norwegian Institute for Air Research confirmed what Nordic builders have known for centuries. Consistent Nordic airing methods reduce mold spores by 85% compared to sealed modern homes. 85%. Not from a renovation, not from a product, from habit and material. The science caught up to the practice. It just took a while. Here's exactly how this is going to work. Number 1 on the list, and the one that costs you absolutely nothing. The Frisk Luft ritual. It is 7 in the morning in Stockholm. The temperature outside is 2 degrees Celsius. Inside, a family home holds warm air that has been sealed overnight. Breathing, cooking, sleeping bodies have loaded it with moisture for 8 hours straight. The windows are closed, the humidity is climbing, and somewhere in a north-facing corner, the conditions for mold are quietly being met. Then the windows open. Frisk Luft means fresh air in Swedish. It is not a wellness trend. It is not a lifestyle choice. It is a centuries-old practice built into the bones of Nordic timber home culture, passed down the way you pass down a recipe or a handshake without ceremony, because it requires none. You open opposite windows. You create a cross-ventilation path. You leave them open for 10 to 15 minutes. Then you close them. You do it again in the early evening. That is the entire ritual. But the physics behind it are extraordinary. Cold outdoor air in a Nordic winter holds a fraction of the moisture that warm indoor air carries. When you open those windows, you are not just letting in cold air. You are performing an exchange. Humid, stale indoor air exits. Dry, cold outdoor air enters. The moment that cold air warms up inside your home, its relative humidity drops dramatically. The air becomes, in effect, drier, not because you extracted anything, but because you replaced it. The humidity level in the room can drop by 15 to 20 percentage points in under 15 minutes. No machine achieves that speed at that cost. One of these saves you more than all the others combined. This is it. Cross-ventilation, twice daily, is the single highest leverage action you can take. And it is the one the dehumidifier industry has the most incentive to make you forget. A Danish housing survey found that homes practicing daily airing showed permanent elimination of recurring damp versus homes relying exclusively on mechanical extraction. Permanent, not seasonal improvement, not reduced frequency. The damp stopped coming back. Homes with machines and no airing continued cycling through the same patches, season after season. You'd think someone would have said something. Nobody did. The practicalities are simple. You need two openable windows on different walls, ideally opposite each other, but adjacent walls work. Morning is the most important session. Overnight moisture from breath and sleep has been accumulating for hours. Open the windows before you make coffee. By the time the kettle boils, the exchange is already done. The evening session, around 5 or 6, clears the moisture generated by cooking and activity during the day. If you live in a flat with windows on only one side, the method still works. It just works more slowly. Open every window you have, open internal doors, and create as long an air path as possible through the home. 10 minutes becomes 15. The principle is unchanged. Cost, $0. Works in any home with two openable windows. No installation, no product, no maintenance. The only barrier is remembering to do it, and after about a week, it becomes as automatic as locking the front door. And that's not even the costly one. This next one is. Because while airing deals with the air, what your walls are made of determines whether moisture even gets the chance to accumulate between sessions. That's one handled. On to the next one. Coming in at number 2, the method that has been hiding in plain sight inside every traditional Nordic home for 400 years. The breathing wall. It is a Tuesday afternoon in Helsinki. A building consultant stands in a 19th century timber farmhouse that has never once shown a mold patch. He runs his hand along the interior wall. No paint, no vinyl, no synthetic coating. Just timber. Exposed and unhurried, doing what timber has always done. He has spent the morning in a 1990s apartment block 3 kilometers away, photographing black mold colonies behind sealed wallpaper. The contrast is not subtle, hygroscopic. It is a word worth knowing. It means a material that absorbs moisture from the surrounding air when humidity is high, and releases that moisture back when the air dries out. Wood is hygroscopic. Wool is hygroscopic. Lime plaster is hygroscopic. These materials do not just tolerate moisture, they actively manage it, acting as a slow, passive buffer that keeps the air around them stable. Sealed paint is not hygroscopic. Vinyl wallpaper is not hygroscopic. Synthetic plaster is not hygroscopic. These materials form a barrier. Moisture cannot pass through them, so it sits on the surface, or it finds the seams, the edges of the skirting board, the corner joint, the grout line, and it forces its way through there instead. And on the other side of that barrier, in the cold layer of air between the wall and the coating, it condenses. Mold grows in the dark, behind your walls, long before you see it. Finnish research into timber construction found that hygroscopic wood regulates indoor moisture year-round with zero mechanical assistance. The wood absorbs excess humidity during peak periods, after cooking, after showering, during cold snaps when condensation risk is highest, and slowly releases it during airing cycles. The wall itself becomes part of the ventilation system, which, looking back, was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid to abandon in the name of modern aesthetics. Danish building codes, updated in 2018, began pushing back against decades of synthetic surface materials. The revised standards emphasize breathable natural materials, wood paneling, lime plaster, over-chemical sealants, not as a heritage gesture, as a moisture management strategy backed by building science. The best one here is near the end, and it's worth the wait. But this method, applied to even one problem wall, produces measurable results within days. Here's the practical application. Identify your worst wall, the one that shows damp patches, the one that feels cold to the touch even when the heating is on. Strip the sealed paint or vinyl wallpaper from that wall. You do not need to do the whole room. One wall is enough to test. Apply lime wash. It costs between $15 and $20 for enough to cover a standard bedroom wall. Lime wash is breathable, mildly alkaline, which mold actively dislikes, and it bonds with the underlying surface rather than sealing over it. Within a few days, that wall begins to participate in the moisture cycle of the room. It absorbs during high humidity periods. It releases during airing. The cold, damp pocket that fed the mold disappears because the surface is no longer trapping moisture against itself. The transformation is not dramatic. It is quiet. The wall simply stops being a problem. And once you see it work on one wall, the logic of the whole system becomes impossible to unsee. If that one surprised you, the next one is bigger. Because the two rooms generating the most moisture in your home have been handled wrong since the day you moved in. But this next one takes it even further. At number 3, the protocol that addresses the two rooms responsible for the majority of your home's daily moisture load. The source protocol. It is 7:45 in the morning. Someone is making breakfast in a sealed modern kitchen. The extractor fan is off. A pot of pasta water comes to the boil. Steam rises and immediately hits the cold ceiling above the hob. It condenses. Invisible droplets land on the painted plaster above the cabinets. The same thing happened last Tuesday, and the Tuesday before. The ceiling is not visibly wet, but the moisture is accumulating. Slowly, in a surface that cannot breathe, in a room that is never properly aired. 3 months from now, there will be a patch. Cooking and bathing together generate roughly 2 to 3 liters of water vapor per household per day. That number is not dramatic until you consider that it is happening inside a sealed box. 2 to 3 liters every single day with nowhere to go. There's one on this list almost nobody knows about, and it is the timing of ventilation, not the ventilation itself. The Nordic rule is specific. The extractor fan goes on before you start cooking or showering, not when you notice steam. Before. A window cracks open during the activity, and both the fan and the window run for 20 minutes after you finish, not just during, after. The reason is thermodynamics. The biggest surge of moisture does not happen while the pot is boiling or while you are under the shower. It happens in the minutes immediately after, when hot, saturated air disperses through the room and contacts the cooler surfaces at the edges, the walls, the ceiling corners, the window reveals. If you have already switched off the fan by then, that moisture has nowhere to go. It lands. It sits. The Swedish Building Authority has confirmed that post-activity ventilation is more effective than during activity extraction alone. The after period is where the real work happens. Running the fan for 20 minutes after you finish costs almost nothing in electricity. It is the difference between a kitchen that manages moisture and a kitchen that accumulates it. The next one costs almost nothing and saves the most. The bathroom rule is even simpler, and almost everyone gets it wrong. After a shower, the instinct is to close the bathroom door, to contain the steam, to stop it spreading through the house. That instinct is wrong. Closing the door traps all of that moisture in one small room and drives local humidity above 90%. At that level, every surface in the bathroom is a mold candidate. Leave the door open. Let the moisture disperse into the larger volume of the home, where it dilutes to manageable levels. Run the extractor for 20 minutes, and wipe down the tiles and glass immediately after you shower, not 10 minutes later. Immediately. Surface moisture removed before it cools and penetrates the grout is moisture that never becomes a problem. 2 to 3 liters a day, managed at the source, with timing and habit rather than machines. The next method works in the background, while you do everything else, and it costs less than a dinner out. That one was simple. The next one saves you even more. Think back to Sven's study. Firelight. Timber walls, no machines. Part of what you were not seeing was under his feet and hanging at his windows. A thick wool rug covered the floor near the exterior wall. Linen curtains hung at the north-facing window, slightly full, slightly heavy. This is the Finnish winter practice. Wool absorbs up to 30% of its own weight and moisture without ever feeling damp to the touch. It does not become wet. It simply holds, and during the morning airing cycle, it releases that stored moisture back into the moving air, which carries it outside. The rug completes the cycle. Linen curtains near windows do the same for condensation. They absorb it before it reaches the sill, before it pools, before it feeds the grout and the paint edge and the corner joint. Synthetic textiles do not do this. Polyester rugs hold almost no moisture. Synthetic curtains repel it back onto the glass. The surface gets wet. The sill gets wet. The mold follows. Placement is the detail most people miss. Wool rugs belong near exterior walls and beneath windows, the coldest zones, where condensation risk is highest. Linen curtains matter most on north-facing windows, which receive the least solar warmth and stay cold longest through the day. These are the surfaces that would otherwise collect moisture silently, invisibly, until the patch appears. A second-hand wool rug costs $10 to $30. Linen curtain panels run $15 to $25 new. The full coverage for a damp-prone room sits comfortably under $50. No installation, no electricity, no ongoing cost. Just material doing what material has always done, in homes that never forgot how to use it. The system is almost complete. One final method holds it all together, and it requires nothing more than unblocking what is already there. What changed permanently? A home that breathes never needs a machine to survive. Watch this next to finish the system.